assuming you're Francie? Hi, Lisa. Nice to meet you. We'll call you. Good morning. I was saying to JR, I love any weather in the fall in New England. It's such a beautiful place. Let us open our hearts to this day, to the beauty about us, the love within us, the life around us. May we find joy and harmony of being and be strengthened by our aspirations of community, one and all coming together to say, yea, life. Let's sing together, Morning Has Come, number 1000 in the teal hymnal. Please rise as you are able in body and spirit.
Hello, my name is Brigitte Miller. I'm a member of the Worship Committee. Welcome to First Parish in Milton. If you are having trouble hearing us here in the meeting house or on Zoom, please message us or use the chat function in Zoom. Your presence here on Sunday mornings enriches worship for everyone. This sanctuary is made holy by your presence. If you're joining us for the first time, a special welcome. You'll find information about First Parish in your pew. One of the greeters or I would be happy to answer any questions you have after the service. Any of us would welcome the opportunity to walk you to social hour after the service. The work of living our faith is done both in and out of worship. So I call your attention to the printed announcements that came with your order of worship or found on the email link. I'd like to call your attention to three in particular. The first one is today we welcome our new baritone Hunsaker soloist, Juan Suarez. Juan will sing a solo as an offertory from the musical about the life of Charlie Chaplin. I heard his voice before. He's awesome. Number two, I wanted to call your attention to the All-Church Council meeting that's coming up on Friday, October 4th. It is open to all, so please join us if you can. If you are joining us, please inform Jen Pincus. There'll be a light supper that will be served, and we want to make sure that we have the correct count. I also call your attention to a third very important activity, the Reclaim Our Vote Social that's happening on September 29th from 1 to 3 here in the Parish Hall. Please read up on it and join if you can. Now let's take a few minutes to greet one another and extend a warm welcome to old friends and new.
Hello.
Hello. Hi, Pat.
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Are you on the Cape?
We are. Yep. How about you? Are you in Milton or?
I'm in Milton, Orange Walls,
Oh,
Milton.
yes, that's right.
Yeah, we had a lot of rain here. Did you have a lot of rain?
Yeah, there was a ton of rain. Yeah,
Good. We needed it. The
I
plant,
know it. Too bad it came on the weekend, but
well, your whole life is a weekend, Pat.
yeah, that's
As we
true.
enter into worship,
I see ya.
please take a moment to silence your cell phones. I'd like to invite Matilda up to light the chalice. Now is the moment we can focus on being here, when we can choose to connect with ourselves and the divine, when we can choose to just be present. Each Sunday, we light the chalice as a reminder that even in an unpredictable world, the flame continues to shine, a corner of warmth and awareness where we, the members of this faith community, can find comfort, support, and connection to one another. Now, please join me in saying the call to worship, which you'll find in your laminated card. Come, let's gather. We gather to celebrate the sacred within and among us. We come to seek spiritual growth and understanding. We strive to practice acceptance, forgiveness, and love. With justice and compassion. Come, let us gather together. So we have quite a, can you hear me? Is this? It's on. It's on. Hello, hello?
It's on, it's on, it's on. There we are. Quite a treat this year. Periodic workshops for the religious education program. All the ages of religious ed will come together for a workshop about once a month or so, and it will be offered by a group called We the People. So there'll be a wonderful continuity of learning through this organization, and we happen to have one person here from it, Francie Latour, who will just share for a couple minutes to let us all know what our children and youth will be doing when they come. Francie. More.
Okay. Good morning. Okay. My name is Francie Latour. I use she, her pronouns. I live in Roslindale. I am the co-founder and now director for We the People, we with 2 E's, because we work with little ones. We work with big ones too. The adults y'all are all right, but the kids are where the hope is. Yes. So yeah, really excited to be here for a good stretch. The series is called Everywhere and Nowhere, Stories and Experiences of Immigrant Experience. We are starting in a place that is very near and dear to me, Haiti, a place that's also in the news. And we are starting with this book by the very famous novelist Edwidge Danticat. You may be familiar with her. She wrote this children's book called Mama's Nightingale, A Story of Immigration and Separation. A lot of times when I'm talking to kids about immigrant experience, Black experience, brown experience, queer experience, trans experience, I often compare it to when you have a brother or sister and you get into a big fight and then you both run to the nearest adult to tell them what happened, right? So my big brother always got there first, and he said, "What happened?" And I'm like, yo, that's not even anything like what happened. You pushed me off a swing, straight out. That's what happened. So yeah, like, you know, in our world, those with the most power get to tell stories about what happened, right? Tell the stories of me and my ancestors, like, without our permission. And so that's really easy for kids to understand, right? You talked about building a world with justice and compassion. That starts with telling the truth and showing, like you can just see from this cover, like the incredible beauty and richness of traditions whose stories have been told by others. And so, yeah, we're going to be doing a series. We're going to go to Haiti. We're going to go to the Dominican Republic. We're going to go to Vietnam. We're going to go to all sorts of places. We're going to make these really fantastical passports that let people in instead of keeping people out. And eventually we'll make t-shirts, not exactly like this one. This is from another event, but we'll make protest t-shirts with stencils, and it'll be a good time. So make sure the kiddos are here when I'm here, because it's going to be a blast. Music, all the things. All right, thank you.
Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the spirit of love surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go. Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the spirit of love surround you everywhere, everywhere. Now's time in our service for time of stillness, when we give ourselves these moments just to settle into our own body, our own breath, our own being. That is nurturance enough. So let us be together in stillness.
Let me show you the best that's inside you. Leave the films behind you. Just stay and talk to me. Your smile can charm me with a look that may be funny, but that alone can't tell me what only love can see. Through tomorrow and days of sorrow, I will follow, and all will remain. If you show me the man behind the glory, you'll start a whole new story that only love can see. Through tomorrow and days of sorrow, let me follow, and I will remain. Let them whisper and search for the answer, but we must remember what only love, what only love, what only love can see.
A prayer by Max Ehrman. Let me do my work each day, and if the darkened hours of despair overcome me, may I not forget the strength that comforted me in the desolation of other times. May I still remember the bright hours that found me walking over the silent hills of my childhood, or dreaming on the margin of a quiet river, when a light glowed within me, and I promised my early God to have courage amid the tempest of the changing years. Spare me from bitterness and from sharp passions of unguarded moments. May I not forget that poverty and riches are of the Spirit. Though the world knows me not, may my thoughts and actions be such as shall keep me friendly with myself. Lift up my eyes from the earth, and let me not forget the uses of the stars. Forbid that I should judge others, lest I condemn myself. Let me not follow the clamor of the world, but walk calmly in my path. Give me a few friends who will love me for what I am, and keep ever burning before my vagrant steps the kindly light of hope. Please rise in body or spirit and join your voice to hymn 323 in the gray hymnal.
Spiritual writer Mark Nepo shares a story of Miriam Eltz, who, having survived both the horror of the Holocaust and the death of her husband, shared with her son a practice involving two objects that sustained her. One was a piece of bread, which she always hid about her person. The other, a broken piece of comb. She kept the bread in case someone needed it more than she. And no matter what, morning and night, she would comb her hair to affirm her person. Spare me from bitterness, writes poet Max Ehrmann, and from the sharp passions of unguarded moments. May I not forget that poverty and riches are of the Spirit. Though the world knows me not, may my thoughts and actions be such as shall keep me friendly with myself. Our lives are unpredictable. That's part of the gift of being. We have chances and second chances, wise moments and off-base moments, failures and learning curves, times of fullness and moments of emptiness, sometimes predictable, most times not. We like to think we can find a way to control what happens in our lives, and this is much of what compels consumerism. Get this, buy this, be this, and you will find the answer. You will have the perfect life. When in fact, control is not what is needed, but flexibility, openness, and a sense of balance, kind of seaworthy legs, a friendliness with life, not a conquering of it. A resident theologian commented the other day that welcoming the possibility of failure and the learning therein creates a growth outlook, a possibility assumption, rather than a limited, fearful approach to life. I'm sure some of you have heard that phrase, fail forward. But growth is hard. We all know the phrase growing pains. When at a growing edge, we're entering new territory, something that can tip us off balance. And it's often a little uncomfortable. This summer, I took a beginner's yoga class. The teacher spoke often of growing edges as a place to honor. You're in conversation with your body, she would say, easing it into more flexibility. Stay at that growing edge and let your body get used to it, and then it'll grow. It's important to pull back if it's too painful, which is a signal of pushing too hard, of trying to control, of being in charge. Let the edge ease you into a readiness. This is the same with our growing edges in life. Those times of discomfort with change are training our being into more flexibility, more expansiveness, more sense of our inner resources. Sometimes the change comes suddenly. It's thrust upon us before we feel ready. It is then that the ballast of friends and help can steady us. Life isn't fair, but there is a way to be grounded in its flow. It takes humility, trust, and gratitude, but mostly humility. Not the I am small humility, but the life is larger and has more wisdom than me humility. And I, being of life, can both make suggestions and follow its lead. We're equipped to be fully present in our lives, no matter what comes. So the phrase ties that bind often give the image of a fixed, unbreakable bond, limited, static, established. But the ties that bind us to a sense of life worth living and relationships worth nurturing are resilient, flexible threads in the interdependent web of existence. Miriam Elks identified some tools, even spiritual talismans, to bind her to living a life even with a history of trauma and deep grief. She created a daily practice of compassion, the readiness with a piece of bread for another, and friendliness to self with the combing of her hair. What binds us to our lives or steadies us is the practice of befriending. Befriending self, befriending life, befriending another, not always in that order. Give me a few friends who will love me for what I am, reminds poet Max Ehrman, and keep ever burning before my vagrant steps and kindly light of hope. Vagrant steps, We are wanderers, truly. We're not bound to one point in time or one action or even one tie that binds. The only constant we are bringing is ourselves in this interdependent web. All else is relatively unknown. In the book Tuesdays with Maury by Mitch Albom, the author writes of his journey with a favored professor who is dying of ALS, also known as Lou Gehrig's disease, a very difficult disease to endure unto death. Each Tuesday, Mitch visited Maury, who was rapidly nearing his death, and learned important lessons about life. In one of the last interviews with his professor, well progressed in his disease, Mitch asked Maury, "What if you had one day perfectly healthy? What would you do?" Let's see, Maury begins. "I'd get up in the morning, do my exercises, have a lovely breakfast of sweet rolls and tea, go for a swim, then have my friends come over for a nice lunch. I'd have them come one or two at a time so we could talk about their families, their issues, talk about how much we mean to each other." Maury went on to describe walks in the garden, a trip to a restaurant, dancing till exhausted, and going home for a deep, wonderful sleep. "That's it?" the student asked. "That's it," Maury replied. Mitch, the student, mused further. "It was so simple, so average. I was actually a little disappointed. I figured he'd fly to Italy, or have lunch with the president, or romp on the seashore, or try every exotic thing he could think of. After all these months lying there, unable to move a leg or a foot, how could he find perfection in such an average day? Then I realized," he writes, "this was the whole point." We live in tumultuous times. I don't know about you, but I'd say around 3 times a week, I feel a kind of existential dread. It's usually an indication that I'm listening to the news too much. The hatred, the bigotry, the misogyny, the racism, the cynicism toward truth, the disregard of one another, it is too much for one body to hold. What's going on with humanity, right? That's why we need to strengthen the threads of our interdependent web, stretch into resiliency, practice flexibility, and hold on to one another. "Lift up my eyes," Max Ehrman prays, "lift up my eyes from the earth, and let me not forget the uses of the stars. Forbid that I should judge others, lest I condemn myself. Let me not follow the clamor of the world, but walk calmly in my path." It truly begins with befriending ourselves. We are born equipped to navigate our lives. The wisdom of the earth and the stuff of the stars is in us. But it is not just about us. Knowing that is the anchor point of our threads in the web. Through our lives, we will also experience times when an anchor point is severed. Readjusting our connection points, especially after a loss, causes an imbalance for a time, an inability to find that resilient hold onto life. That's why remembering connections, even as simple as a crust of bread for another and a time of self-soothing every day, can carry us to new connections, more resilience, because of the love and loss that we carry within. At times of frayed edges and disorientation in life, we need relatedness to earth, to one another, to ourselves. Befriending, that's the ticket. This is why divisiveness is so corrosive and oddly compelling. When we carry the false notion that weakened connections give us more power. We must resist this defilement of the interdependent web. We must resist this defilement of the interdependent web. Let go of the strands that are pulling you off balance and strengthen the ties that nurture resilience, flexibility, and trust in possibility of a friendliness with life. We don't have to go far and wide for this. We just need to go within and welcome the next connection. Honor yourself, defy malice, and know your connections matter, for they can uphold you in this unpredictable life. So may it be. Amen. Let us sing together hymn number 1059 in the TL hymnal. Shall we go through it 3 times, Tim? Does that sound good? Just sing to each other, whatever you'd like to do, and you can come in on a round if you'd like. We're going to sing it through 3 times. Please rise as you are able in body and or spirit. Let us join our hearts in the spirit of prayer. O Holy One, known by many names, larger than any imagining, in each of our hearts and minds, come to our awareness. May we feel a surge in our waking for the possibilities in life. May we recognize our despair or our confusions and be kind to ourselves about them, even to the confusion and despair, and know that life is about flow and change, and this is not all that we feel. Let us reach out to others when we can and ask for help when we need. And may we find every day an ability to be compassionate or to connect with another, and the ability to self-soothe, to claim our own beauty, our own being. And for all the prayers lifted up but unspoken, may we surround them in love. Amen.
again, I'm Brigitte Miller, here to give you a faith reflection. We are in a moment where politics cannot be ignored. Both sides have fear mongers that are telling us that we should be afraid. And the world is increasingly complex with too many sources of information, and not all of them can be trusted. There are so many conflicts and wars, and then there's our planet that's yelling for help with all the fires and floods and megastorms. All of that makes for good headlines and wide distribution. It also creates hooks that grab onto people's anxiety. Is it any wonder that I'm feeling anxious? But is that anxiety helping? No. It's not like the fear of a tiger that I see in the corner of my eye that gives me a boost of adrenaline so that I can run fast. This anxiety gives me a hole in the pit of my stomach, and one that personally I have been trying to fill with junk food. And let me tell you, that hole is not getting any smaller. For some, in their search of a solution for that anxiety, they listen to and sometimes believe the power-hungry leaders that are happy to tell us why we're scared. Let's dehumanize all those that are other and get rid of them, and then we'll finally be safe, they seem to propose. And then they'll find new ways for seeing differences between the people that are left. My truth is that I don't want to believe that we live in an increasingly dangerous world, because it distracts me from the solutions that we must find and the work that we must all do together to make things better. What if we saw all people as having the same needs? A need for love, companionship, for clean water, food, and fresh air, for a chance to earn a living and build a life in a safe place? What if we could calm our anxiety long enough to feel compassion for both sides of the conflict and maybe find a solution together? This community is good for me for that reason. It's not a place where I'm expected to fear or obey God or my spiritual leaders, but a place where I can voice my anxiety, feel heard and supported, get inspiration, and find ways to get involved. A place where I can be reminded of the wisdom of a universe of higher power that is always present if I take a minute to listen. I leave you with this. There's a French song from the 70s that I love. The 70s had a lot of the same sort of angst as I feel we have now, and so I've gone back and listened to it often. The singer details why he's anxious and feels lost and scared, and after each verse, the chorus jumps in, sung by a group of singers, and suggests that he live like a bird. They say, "Do like the bird. It lives from fresh air and cool water, from a little bit of hunting and fishing, but nothing ever keeps it from going higher." Today's offering will go towards the service and ministry of First Parish. To give, please follow the instructions printed in your order of worship or shown on the Zoom screen. For those of you in the meeting house, you may also deposit cash at in two collection plates that are either in the back or in the front of the church here. If you are proud of this church, become its advocate. If you care about its future, share its message. We welcome all to build a just and healthy world with faith, love, and compassion. Please support our faith community by giving generously as you can.
something feels wrong, and you find yourself lost and all your confidence is gone, and the stars over your head through the clouds won't be revealed. I'll walk with you, even if it's uphill. When the weight of your troubles sends your knees into the dirt, all your loyal distractions only magnify the hurt. When lonesome doesn't quite define how so alone you feel, I'll walk with you, even if it's uphill. Hard times and landslides are part of life, I know. Like they say, none of us get out alive. Whatever ocean you're swimming across, however valley low, whatever mountains you climb, I'll walk with you, even if it's uphill. Blessed are the times filled with sun, surrounded by your friends, those days when all the new roads wait right where the old roads end. But could you wake up to Everest right outside your windowsill? I'll walk with you, even if it's uphill. Hard times and landslides are part of life, God knows. We all got some mountains to climb. Whatever ocean you're swimming across, however valley low, I'm right here. I've been right here all this time. And I'll walk with you, even if it's uphill. I'll walk with you, even if it's uphill.
Please join me in the unison dedication. May these gifts be transformed into strength for this faith community, into comfort, food, and shelter for those in need, and may we be transformed by generosity. Please rise for the doxology.
And as I douse the flame of our chalice, may the flame of our faith burn bright and deep within us. May we take the peace we have felt today into our world. May we recognize this glorious community and share it with our lives. And may we find ourselves flexible and resilient in this interdependent web of existence, a gift beyond knowing that we can live. Have a good week. Amen.